Welcome to another episode of Light Vision Art Q&A. I am your humble host, and despite the reports, my death was greatly exaggerated. I'm still with you. Hello, and of course, welcome into our chat and into our viewing area. We have Claudia Richardson. I see that she is queued up. And of course, Jeff, I've already saw that he's queued up as well. We have a good show lined up for you today. We hope that you can participate. If you would like to be a part of the show, you can call in at 615-547-3355, or you can email me at lightvisionart, of course, at gmail.com if you would like to be a part of this show. We hope we have a few viewers chime in. We'll see. If not, we're going to be discussing a topic today that's is been at the forefront of my mind about post-processing your images, and when is enough enough? When is too much post-processing? When does it get to the point where it actually hurts the image itself, or really doesn't do anything to support the image? Before we get started, I'll do just a little bit of housekeeping. Of course, this is the Light Vision Art Show, and this is part of the Darkroom series that we do, Darkroom in Use. Of course, the show broadcasts live Saturdays from 10 to 11 Central Time. You can be a part of the show. Of course, you can chime in on the network that we do on the YouTube channel, or you can be one of my guests. If you'd like to be a guest, just jump in, let me know. We'll get you on. And of course, we do have opportunity to talk on the radio during the weekdays. I do a radio show called Lion Chasers Radio. It's broadcast live out of Washington, D.C. From 10 to 12 Central Time. You can go there to urbanfamilytalk.com, get your groove on. You can come in, we can talk politics, we talk religion, we talk a lot of things of current events. And as well, if you'd like to get in my classroom, we're getting ready to start the new class. Jeff just finished in the summer class, but we're getting ready to start our fall winter class. We're already signing people up for that. It's a 16-week class, and as Jeff may tell you, it goes by pretty quickly. And Claudia as well, she took the class. It goes by pretty fast. 16 weeks sounds like a long time, but it's not that long. And of course, you get to be in the classroom with my ugly mug for 2 hours. And of course, we help you out with your photography needs. And I would be remiss if I did not advertise for my buddies at WeBe Lenses at WeBeLenses.com. If you have need of high quality Canon lenses or Canon gear, you can go to WeBeLenses.com and get your lenses, get your flash, get whatever you need at a reasonable rate and get it fast and quickly. So go to WeBeLenses.com, of course. All right, so let's sort of get started. I'm going to go ahead and unmute yourself, Claudia, and let's get you in, see what you got going on, see what your thoughts are. What's happening?
Hey, good morning, Al. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad to see me too.
I believe so.
It was a pretty rough couple of days. But like I said, the reports of my death were greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't get any.
Yeah. What's happening? What you up to?
Hey, Al, I must say I pretty much just woke up. I had a great evening at the Wilson County Fair last night. Didn't get there until 10. Felt like, teenage years when you don't get in the shower till 9 to go out to, whatever you do in the middle of the night. But I took my tripod this time. You remember last week I showed a couple pictures handheld.
Right.
Awesome. I just want to encourage everybody to go tonight, take your tripod and take some pictures. I
Right.
did send you an email
Yeah.
with some samples. Maybe you can show them later. If not, it's the last day tonight.
Yeah.
So everybody go out and take your tripods. It was
Right.
wonderful.
Right. That's great. Let's get Jeff in. Go ahead and click Jeff. See what's happening with Jeff in his world. What's
Good
happening
morning.
with sir?
Are we
What's,
on?
yeah, we on.
All right, great. No, I'm still battling this crud. We doing a little better.
Yeah. Did you make it to the fair this week?
We went Sunday night, which probably I thought might have been a good night, but it wasn't a good night. Of course, I needed some. It had been raining so much we weren't able to get out and really do our class work. So
Right.
we had, we went to the fair. A lot of people there. A lot of mud. It was very muddy too. So
Right. Yeah.
a couple of friends went on Monday night. That would have been the night to go. There wasn't a lot of people there. So
And I was there Sunday as well during the day with Authors Day, and we had a pretty good time there, and it was very muddy. They had closed off the preferred parking because of all the water in the area. But people got in there and had a good time, and of course
yeah.
the fair is getting ready to wrap up, as Claudia just said. Of course, we're going to get our show started today. Before though, let's talk about websites. You can go to, of course, be a part of our photography guild. Go to the Wilson County Photography Guild. Go to our website at wcpgonline.org, and you can be a part of our group. We meet, of course, first Mondays of the month. Our next meeting is going to be in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, at the Corner Pub. Of course, meet us there at 6:30. Come early, get your food, and just who knows, your picture may wind up on our website as photo of the month, just like this photographer's did. And of course, since we're talking photography, you can also at my website go to lightvisionart.simdiff.com, and you can also find information there and video clips and all sorts of helpful information. And as Claudia and Jeff just mentioned, this is the last night of the fair. Go there, check out the blue ribbons. We're going to talk about the blue ribbons in just a minute. I'm going to give kudos to some of the winners, but go there and check them out. Of course, some of the things that are happening right now, like the events that I'm speaking of, this was some of the images from our Authors Day event. We had about 13 authors. We had several authors from the area, Middle Tennessee area. Of course, one of those authors is Alan Garrett. He wrote a book called uh, uh, Mind uh, Mind Brains, or like-minded, and then he wrote another book, and it's escaping me. But the ribbons. Now, Claudia, this image won Best of Show. Why did that image win Best of Show? To you, why did it win?
Because of the dog in there, and the feeling you get from this picture is you just relate to it.
Right,
You know,
right.
the
It's
feeling of the picture, yeah.
and
But,
it's very simple,
yeah.
simplicity. I keep telling photographers, keep it simple. Don't
Yes.
don't try to do a lot. Keep your story, keep your message simple. And believe it or not, this photograph is from a smartphone.
Wow.
How do I know that? Because I printed it. I printed that image, and the photographer that come to my lab and wanted to enter that image, I almost talked them out of it, Claudia. I almost
Really?
I
Yeah.
almost talked them into using something else, uh, because I felt I was into that same thing that many other critics get into, is judging a book by its cover. Because she had a cell phone image, I sort of felt she wouldn't get judged fairly. But the judges didn't know what camera box with the hole in it they were using.
Yes.
All they saw was a very simple image that relayed a clear message. And that won best. What do you think about that shot, Jeff? Is that a best of show shot to you? Be honest. You're on mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have chose it, but I mean, it's a little bit. I don't know if it's just here on screen, if it's a little fuzzy or like
Oh yeah, it's not clear.
fogged up or something. Maybe, I mean, it may have been on a cold day, and when you open the door and
Right.
and the dog peeking through a hole that he could see through. So I don't know. It is, it is simple. Like you said, it's simple.
It's just a simple shot that speaks a simple message. And we've all, if you're an animal lover, you all, and you've seen this before. You open the door and the pet wants in. And of course, there were other shots that were there that I remember. We printed this one as well. This was a third place winner that we did. That was at the fair. You know, getting close to the subject is a key to getting the message across. Of course, this was Walt. This is one of Walt's images, Claudia and Jeff, and he won a first place ribbon with that. Walt Centeno.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in my group, he won a first place ribbon with this shot here. Then, of course, this shot was one of our guild members. He hadn't been in a while. His name is Myron Browning, and Myron won with this shot. And this is another shot I'm talking about. It's not about the sharpness. It's not about the exposure per se. It's about the emotion that the shot gives. And it's a simple shot. It's not complicated. And he won a first place ribbon. Uh, I think it's more about the quality of light in that shot. That sort of, it's got that muted antique look. And a lot of time people want their shots to be overly bright. The child with blue eyes. They go in and do a whole lot of Photoshop stuff to them, and it takes away from the shot. And of course, and this one right here we'll talk about later, Claudia. Later. Ain't that a great shot? Ain't that a great shot? What did you shoot that with, Claudia? Be honest.
It was a 50mm lens, with my crop sensor. It was, a little different, but the light was it was my garage light coming in through those little holes in the crate, shining right on her face. I mean, it was just perfect moment.
Right. And you captured that. And we're going to talk about that shot a little later. But today, we're wanting to talk about post-processing and how much is too much. One of the problems that I see in many images that I'm privileged to look at is that someone will start out with a great concept. They'll have a good concept of what they want to say in their photograph. But they either pick the wrong lens, the incorrect exposure, or very poor composition. And so what they attempt to do later in post-processing is fix all of that in post. And so they wind up with images that are either unforgiving in the highlights, which means it washes out the highlights, or you don't see any detail in their shadows, and they go in and they try to correct that with levels and exposure corrections, and then they try to use other types of things to do treatment, and they get worse and worse and worse, and it takes away from the image. What do you guys, how much post-processing do you think is necessary, Claudia, when you, how much do you do in post-processing?
Well, Al, I wish I knew more to do. I really got to make sure I have my picture right in camera because,
Right.
you know, I am not really familiar with the levels and the shadows and all these things, how to tweak them. So I really need my picture come out the camera really good. What I do in post-processing for the animal rescue, I do crop out leashes, take out eye boogers, you know, little, maybe there's a piece of hay or straw or something on the fur. Those are the things that I post-process. And then since I shoot in RAW, I sharpen the pictures, but that's pretty much it. Just because, you know, I don't know it too well. I wish I did a bit better. But I got to, you know, got to be in camera, right?
Yeah, yeah. What, Jeff, what about you, big guy? In post-processing, how much do you pay attention to post-process?
Of course, I pull everything into Camera Raw is my primary. You know, I do probably 80% at least of all my adjustments. If it can be done right there, and that's it. Um, it depends on what I'm shooting. If I go bracket shoot something, I'll pull it into either Photoshop and work on the brackets, or I've got another piece of software that I don't really like it. Photomatics. I've played around with that, but it introduces a lot of noise that I don't really like. But anyway, I fool around with a couple different pieces of software. Uh, it really depends on what's expression and what I'm trying to create in that photo. So,
Well, you know, and that's a great point about what are you trying to say with the photo in terms of expression and exposure, you know, contrast, levels that we talk about, shadow highlight, you know, detail in the highlights. All those things are very important. But if you have garbage in, you're going to have garbage out.
yeah.
If you don't have a good exposure to start with, you're not going to be able to do too much in post processing that's going to really make the shot any better. I mean, I know people who think they can make the shot brighter, you know, and bring back some of the
No.
vibrance of the shot, but really you're just doing more damage when
Yeah.
you start doing that. You mentioned was it
Photomatics.
photomatics, and that, and I think I've heard other people talk about that. Isn't that something you use sometimes with when you're doing HDR?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
which, go ahead.
um, again, it's not the it's not the greatest with HDR. I mean, it works, but it it tends to give that grungy look too much, more
Right,
than I like. Um, all I want to do is get something cleared up and get it more in the range of how I seen it, I guess. You know,
right,
how I felt it looked when I was there.
right. I'm looking for an image, and of course, the image I had on the front end of the show that talks about shadow highlight. I mean, we're going to talk about some shadow highlight issues if I can find that image. Of course, knowing me, it's probably going to escape me, but I will find it eventually. But when you say shadow highlight, Jeff, or HDR, we were talking about this in class recently when it comes to how much dynamic range you can have in an image. And you brought a topic up. You brought us a topic in class that talked about dynamic range. Could you explain that to the average person out there?
Well, it's the amount of uh, an eye can see a lot more than a camera sensor can see. So, and their camera sensors are getting better and better and better at that, but still, they're not there. So, the way you are able to capture that is bracket shooting. Um, you get your exposure where you want it, basically. Maybe it's at normal exposure, and then shoot one or two bracket, two over and one or two under. And you can set when you go in your brackets, you can set that whatever you want to shoot. Some people shoot 3 shots, some people shoot 5 shots. 3 is usually about as much as you need, and 2 under and 2 over is usually all you need. But still, you've got to have a scene that lends itself to that type of photography.
Right.
It's like you said, garbage in is still garbage out. So,
Like a
uh,
static thing works well,
but
like
yeah,
where it's not moving. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. In that, and when you're doing that, you're capturing more shadows, more shadow area than you do in a normal exposure, because you're either by eye uh, you're metering that and ratioing your meters, or your camera is metering it for you, and it's trying to hit the medium area there, and you're just not going to get that. You're not going to catch them shadows. It's like I was talking about in class. If you had a bridge or something where you had a child sitting under that bridge fishing, and he's
Right.
in some deep shadows, and you've got this beautiful blue sky ahead with beautiful clouds up over the top of the bridge, and you're going to capture all that. You can't do it. So if you hit a 2 over and 2 under on that, normally if your middle metering's right, you're going to capture them clouds, them blue clouds and white, or blue sky and white clouds in one, and in the other one you're going to get that child sitting under that bridge fishing. You're going to be able to see him,
Right.
and then
Well,
your middle will fill in. Go ahead.
well, the shot on the screen that I put up is an example of HDR in terms of the background light, of course, your sky, and then your foreground image, which would have been shadowed. And you get, like you say, more than one exposure, maybe up to 7 different exposure ranges.
Right.
And software like Photomatic will sort of try to blend those images together, and that will give you that high dynamic range that you're looking for. It's impossible to get true high dynamic range in an exposure if you don't have a good starting point. Like if you don't know where a good starting point is, then it's difficult to get dynamic range. Now, not all shots have good dynamic range. So you just have to sort of understand that you can't take every shot and make it HDR, just like Jeff was saying. Claudia, jump in, because I know that you have experimented with long exposures from time to time. And long exposures are something that um, can sort of simulate something like HDR. Like if you have a nighttime exposure, it can simulate HDR, but you sort of sacrifice one for the other. You like if you got a bright scene at the fair, like the carnival rides that we looked at last week. If you got these really bright scenes at the fair, you can't have the really bright scene and the really dark scene. together unless you get more than one exposure. Have you thought about when you're shooting? I know you shoot a lot of pets, so it'd be hard for you to do HDR because pets are moving.
Yeah.
They're jumping around, they're moving about. So it sort of be hard to do HDR. But I do something I call ratios. Now we've talked about this in class to
I
where,
remember.
yeah, so that you can get two different exposures and sort of know the difference and then determine what you need to do to make it more pleasing, like a background exposure versus a foreground exposure. That takes a little work. Have you ever tried? I know you've tried using Flash before, and a lot of times people will use Flash to try to do that. What's your experience when you're shooting pets, when you're using Flash or something like that? How difficult is it?
Um, I think Flash is harder with pets because you always get the issue with the eyes, you know, reflecting, and then
Right.
getting the weird color, or you get the harsh background shadows on the walls behind them. So it's really nice if you have no flash and you can just use existing light.
Or an ambient
Yes,
light.
ambient.
For me, I think ambient light really gives a better quality of light if you can control it. It's sort of like the shot that we looked at from the fair with the child eating the watermelon. The natural light that the photographer used, and they didn't have to do a whole lot of treatment to that afterward.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would probably be more for my liking instead of something like this, which almost looks cartoonish to me. It almost looks cartoonish, and even though you can see the foreground shadows in the background, I don't like too many shots like this that are overdone with HDR. Just if you got to do that much, maybe you could have done something differently in terms of getting that shot to give the same message. But that's just me and my personal thoughts on treatments. In the old days, we used to do stuff in the dark room, and we called it treatments. It was things that you would do in the dark room that would enhance an image or change the image in a way to give a different feel of emotion about the image. So it would be something we would call a treatment. And today we call it post-processing. So it's the same thing. And of course, if you can see in my background right here, I've got a dark room over here to my right that we can, you know, we've talked about darkroom many times on the show. But what we're talking about today is, of course, has to do with post processing. Claudia, you had a few images that I want to bring up on the show that we were talking about with terms of treatment and post processing and things of that nature. Tell the audience what this shot is about, what lens you used, and then we'll look at a shot that you did that was a treatment or a post-processing. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was taken, it's actually in my garage, light falling through the little slits in a dog crate, and it fell right on the cat. The lens was a 50 millimeter. Settings probably anywhere at 2.0 or something, 2.2 somewhere. I just thought the light was perfect, and she looked so pretty there. By the way, this cat's up for adoption if anybody is looking for a female cat real sweet that likes water. But anyway, so this was my original shot, and I
Okay.
just last week found an app that's called Prisma. The logo is a black triangle.
Okay.
I had somebody, showed it to me, and I was just totally amazed by it, how quickly you can transform a picture to different artworks. And you
And
had it up on the screen here, and
That's
I
it.
just, it's pretty. I just thought it was so awesome. It
Now,
looked so good.
now,
Yes,
to me, I like this shot. All
yes, yes.
So it's one of those shots that whatever you do to it, it's still going to be a likable shot. You
Yeah,
know, whether
yeah.
you print it in grayscale, if I was to remove the color from this shot, let me see if I can do that for the audience sake. Um, let's see if I can find. So if I went
Yeah.
grayscale, that's still a good shot to me. So you did a great job of composition. You did a great job of getting the right amount of light to the subject. Like you said, you use the geometry of light that you're using is more direct, coming from through a crate. So you captured that light. You didn't have to create anything. You just
No,
kept
it was there, and you got to see it.
right.
It was this situation, and that's it.
Yeah.
Go
So
on, get the camera.
when you did this, tell us what you did. What you said you use an app called Prisma.
Yeah, Prisma.
Okay.
And it has different settings for different types of art. You can do the charcoal kind of drawing with this, all kinds of different settings. You would just select your picture and run this little art program across it, and within seconds you have a shot like this.
Right. And for me, you didn't do anything to hurt your original shot.
No.
I mean, so you just took the original, which was this, which was really good to me, and of course gave me another treatment or another type of way to see the shot. I'm not an artist. I can't. I'm an artist, but I'm not a painter. I can't paint. I can't draw. And so apps like this are pretty cool for people who can't do some of those things. And of course, you have another one here. This is one I love. I love this shot. I love the emotion on the child's face. I love the fact that the dog is showing that it wants to please the person by jumping through the hoop and doing this whatever exercise that the owner was trying to get them to do. So, despite that the shot may not be perfectly exposed, all that kind of stuff, it's still a really good shot to me. What do you think, Jeff? What do you critique that shot for Claudia and the audience?
I think it's a pretty good shot. It shows a lot of emotion. Um, it's it may not be the perfect exposure or anything, but dealing with what kind of light situation you're in, it's not that bad without setting up having a whole lot of extra equipment.
Right.
But no, it's and it gets into one of them simple shots. It's not you've got to have fairly fast exposure to catch it, but it is a simple shot.
Right. And so this next shot that she did where she added a treatment, it still sends the same message.
Yeah.
It
Well,
didn't.
actually, let me interrupt you. This is how I learned and found out about this app. The father of this girl changed the picture and posted it on Facebook as his profile picture like this.
Right.
And I was like, wow, what did he do? And bottom right, I don't know if everybody can see it, there's almost like a little watermark, Prisma, and that's how I found out about it and said, I got to have this, and I'm going to talk about this today. Because this made it like so awesome, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it looks so good.
right, and I like, and of course, like I said, I like it because it didn't change. It did not change the shot. It's still a good shot like this, and it's still a good shot like this. As far as composition, as Jeff said, the expression, the emotion on the faces, on the pet's face, is all there. And so I'd still say it boils down to starting out with a good shot. You start out with a good shot, you can do anything with it. If you start out with a poor shot, you can treat it all you want to. You can add treatments, you can lace it with gold, and you can put it in a gold frame. It is still not going to express the message that you're trying to get across. And of course, we got this one here. Who doesn't love little ponies? All right, Claudia, where were you and what were you doing?
This was at my friend's house, and she was working around the horses and feeding them, and I was laying on the grass, and here comes little, I think this is Willie. The wind was blowing a little bit, and here we go. I finally got me a nice horse picture.
Right.
He's pretty cute. He's not taller than my hip is when you stand up, so they are pretty cute little horses.
Little horses, they're cute, and I'm sure they're hard to manage, that's for sure. But of course, you did a treatment on Willie.
Yeah.
And is this with the same app? Prisma?
Yeah, it's with the same app, Prisma. Yep. It has all these different little settings. They're called Wave, Paper Art. I have it here. Transverse Line, Candy, Gothic, all kinds of different, treatments you can apply to your pictures.
Right.
And this was another one. And I mean, it's pretty nice. I totally like it.
Yeah.
Transfers a good picture.
Right. And like I said, it doesn't really take away from little Willie here and it being a good shot to work with. Now, for me, if you got to do a lot to a shot, like change the background, if you got to remove stuff and do all that, it's because you really wasn't looking when you photographed it initially. Like if you were somewhere and there was things in the background that shouldn't have been there, that's really on you. Now, when you're working with animals, you don't have a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
They're not so much like people where you can say, okay, let's move over here. Okay, let's change over there. I mean, you have to capture their curiosity while it's happening. And Willie is curious.
What is she laying on the ground for? On my food.
What are you doing on my food? Get up out of my way. I need to eat. And using that to create the, exposures, the background exposure. You did a really good job at that. And then, of course, when you added the treatment, you can add it for different reasons, for paintings and drawings and all sorts of things, especially if you're not good at doing that. Anyway, we had a person on the show a few weeks ago named Lee Strader. And Lee won some ribbons at the fair with his drawings and paintings. And Lee could draw and paint some of this stuff that we're talking about on the show today because that's what he does. But for us people who can't draw and paint, this is a good option to try. Now we're talking about, of course, today, post-processing fails. When you do too much to an already poor image and expect an outcome that's going to be different than what you already have. So at the end of the day or the start of the day, I still say you have to, get good exposures, use good composition, great camera handling techniques. Less is better, as we've shown today with our ribbon contest stuff. Less is better. Because we were looking at a shot earlier from the list that we were looking at here. Let me find it again. The best of show. Some of those shots, like the ribbon winners, like this one here that Myron won. I think it was another one here that one of our guild members won. And of course, we had this one here, this a ribbon winner at the fair. But this one here was the best of show. Now, when I say best of show, what I'm getting at is it won over everything else. It beat out every other photograph when they won Best of Show. Now, you may not agree, and most of the time I don't agree. When I see Best of Show, sometimes I like, okay, how did they get that? But with this shot, I can almost see why it won Best of Show. Because
I was a little upset that Strawberry didn't win something.
yeah, the strawberry
Was bad.
should have won. Uh, but Jeff, I saw some really good shots
Yeah.
come through this year that I really thought were going to win ribbons.
And they didn't get anything.
I really thought there was going to be some ribbon winners from some of the shots that I saw come through my lab personally. Some of them won with ribbons, some of them didn't. But Best of Show, I printed that shot, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't have thought it would have won a Best of Show. I thought it may win a ribbon, like a second place, third place, fourth place, something like that. But that shot was done with a smartphone, not a digital SLR with all the big lenses and all the best equipment type things. It's just somebody saw a shot, captured it, and won Best of Show with that shot. So we can't always assume that because you have all the best camera equipment and all the best whatever, that you're going to win contests. That's not how it works. Matter of fact, that's not how any of this works. If you think about it, they're judging thousands of shots, at least several hundred.
What was the category that one was in? Do you know?
I don't know, and let me see if I can zoom up that shot.
But you know another thing, remember you told me, you asked me if I saw this picture, and I immediately knew which one it was out of all those pictures you look at.
Right.
This one, you're like, oh, it stays in your mind. You look at it, and you're like, you remember that. I didn't see the Best in Show, I did, but I remember the picture.
Right.
You remember that?
Yeah, you do remember the shot. I'm trying to zoom it up, Jeff. I'm not doing a good job at it. But of course,
Joni was asking me, do you know this person?
I know the customer. The customer is not a quote unquote professional photographer.
Yeah. Can you
Maybe
describe
she'll
her?
be now.
Yeah. They're just somebody who likes to take pictures. And
I worked with a girl by that name way over 20 years ago, and when I saw the name, I said to Jeff, wonder if that's her.
well, I try to talk her out of it, and that shows you how much I know, Jeff.
Yeah. Now, Joni wondered if it was a person she knew, used to work with. So.
Well, the night I
Was
met
she
you, and I were together.
I don't know. I can't really. I try to zoom it up, and I'm not doing any good here.
Yeah.
Of getting it to zoom. Let me see if I.
But we were talking about this after class because I was really surprised. The Strawberry didn't win anything, and I think both of us thought. I don't know. How did you pick the category? Claudia.
It was still life, and there was something else. I don't remember what it says on the criteria to pick your pictures in.
Yeah.
And it was set up shots shots or something.
But you didn't do a manipulation or anything in there.
No.
A lot of the photos that was in that category were Photoshop manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was not the manipulated one. It was like set up still life.
Yeah.
Like set up
But that's
shots.
not what it was in.
Yeah, it was in.
That's not where it was.
Oh, was it? I thought so.
I didn't think.
Well, hey,
I
I'm
don't
just
know. I wondered
happy
if
to
that
be
was
there.
one of the reasons that which I didn't like the one that got picked in that category, but I wondered if the category may have threw that out for some reason. I don't know. that's part of it, I'm sure, is learning how to pick your category that you throw your
Yeah.
photo into. When it,
Yeah, that's a big part of it in winning a ribbon at the fair is making sure you get it in the proper category. Because if you don't, what happens is they discount it and they won't even judge it per se. Um, but I don't know. I would say your shot, the strawberry shot, would have definitely fell into the still life category, whatever that
Yeah.
was.
Hey,
Um,
yeah. You know, no problem for me. I'm just happy I have pictures I entered. And now we already talked a minute about my strawberry picture. That's better than having a ribbon. Thank
Right.
you.
No, I thought it would have. I thought it should have had a ribbon. Whatever it was, it should have had
Say,
something on it because you put a lot of time in that. Of course, they don't know that, but
No,
it wasn't manipulated like a lot of the photos were. There was a lot of Photoshop going on in a lot of them pictures up there this year that I seen.
yeah.
and maybe that justifies the winner here. Maybe that justifies the shot that won best of show
Yeah,
because matter of fact, there was no printing manipulation, there was no Photoshop manipulation. It was just a shot off of a smartphone.
An honest shot.
yeah,
And in a way, for me, if I look at it from that perspective, maybe that shot did deserve best of show. Because nowadays we spend a lot of time on, you know, trying to manipulate something, trying to make it, better than it really was. And we sort of forget about the spontaneity that photography is. That spontaneous moment that you see something, push the shutter release button and capture it. That all happens in fractions of seconds. And the dog could have stayed at the door maybe a few seconds longer, or maybe changed its position in a few seconds, and you wouldn't have had a dog at the door, which means you don't have a best of show. So to me, maybe that's why this shot maybe deserves best of show. What do you say, Claudia?
I,
Since I gave
I
my
think I think you're right on.
yeah
I think
the,
you're right on.
the
Because
simple
it's so simple, not manipulated.
Right.
right right and so we can probably sit and judge it to hear to kingdom come, but and we can always say why something should have not won a ribbon, but we're not the judges. We didn't judge it.
that's right.
And so at the end of the day, post processing post processing is good. I think it's a good thing to have. Like Claudia said earlier, she shoots in RAW, Jeff shoots in RAW. Then you put it into a RAW processor to correct the sharpness, you know, tweak the exposure, do some things that you like to do to it. Then at the end of the day, when it comes out of that RAW processor, you still have to look at the shot and say, well, do I want it, like it is? Do I want to make it grayscale? Do I want a sepia tone? Or do I want to do what Claudia did with some of her images here, where she was able to treat them, like with the program that she was talking about? The, what would you call it? The Prisma?
Prisma, yeah, it's a black triangle that's hollow in the middle, and it's a free app to download.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so,
always like the free part.
yeah, the free part. Tune Camera is another one that I like, called Tune Camera, like cartoon.
Yeah.
Tune Camera. and it will let you do it in with video too, Claudia.
Wow.
So like you can turn your videos into cartoons, which is pretty cool. But you did this one here, of course. It's a straight shot out of the camera. Um, Me and you talked about it. I told
Yeah.
you what I thought about the shot.
Yeah. See, I thought it was, the dog was blurry and what have
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah. And of course, then we had it treated in Prisma. And then we had another one as well here, that a little cat. And this cat is up for adoption, folks. Now, this cat, I have a history with this cat because I introduced Claudia to this cat. This cat was living in a drain pipe near my store. And of course, we were afraid that it was going to
drown.
come to find out, the cat loves water. Am I right, Claudia?
Yes, yes. When I'm done with my shower in the morning, she jumps right in the water that's
Right.
left in the bathtub,
There you
and she
go.
lays down in it.
Right. She loves water, and she's becoming very friendly to Claudia. And so I think it'll make a great pet for someone. If you
Yeah.
want to, take this cat home, you can contact Claudia. Of course, you can get in touch with Claudia easier either through my show. You can call the show, or you can email me, and we'll get you in touch with Claudia Richardson.
Thank
So
you.
that you get this cat. And of course, she'll probably throw this picture in, wouldn't you, Claudia?
Yes.
If they the cat,
Yeah,
you'll
I
throw,
throw that in.
yeah.
I got to print. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Tell you what, I'll print the customer an 8x10
Okay.
for them to frame, and that way it'll make a nice picture of this beautiful cat that Claudia saved. And of course, before we wind up everything, guys, as I said earlier, the reports of my death were, of course, greatly exaggerated. But I did have a scare 2 days ago. I had a dizzy spell. I got sick, and I it was very, very. It took me a while. It took a little while, Claudia, for me to get back to my senses. But I'm gonna tell you, you should appreciate whatever life you have. Just be thankful for whatever it is, because there's no guarantees. There are no guarantees. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Jeff, give me your final thoughts for the day, what we're talking about. Of course, if you got any other tips you want to give, this is your chance. Joni, you can chime in too.
Hey, one thing that hit me though, there's some filter things in Photoshop that you can do that with, and you can actually control, put a lot more controls. You can load a paintbrush and control things and make them really look like paintings. So
That's
it
true.
may be something you want to dig into, Claudia, and learn a little bit more about.
Yeah, Photoshop.
Yes.
Yeah. Claudia, anything?
Any last thoughts of the day?
Any last thoughts of the day?
That might be an adoption teaser.
You still around?
Yeah, bring that cat back up. We
Okay.
really need to find it a home.
That might be an adoption teaser for all of the pets.
That pony's not for
Is he
sale.
adoptable
Pony is
too?
not for adoption.
And the dog, but this little cat is. The
Here
little
we
cat.
go.
So yeah, there you go. Adopt this cat, and Claudia works with animals. She's
Yeah.
rescue. She does rescue. Her and her husband and others, I believe.
Yeah,
That you work.
we're a big group, big team.
Yeah, that work with.
Everybody does their little part. I try with photography and fostering. Everybody tries to be a part of it.
Right. Well,
Takes a village.
it does take a village. Now, I did a show this week called "It Takes a Village of Idiots." And of course, you know,
Just imagine.
yeah, you can only imagine what I was talking about. But it does take a lot of people to pull off some of these extraordinary accomplishments that you do with saving these animals. So I thank you very much. Of course, I'm gonna meet you guys. Getting ready to go off on the show. Jeff, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Of course, I want to thank um, everybody that helps out on the show. Of course, everybody has a talent or a gift, and at times you seem to forget about how important it may be to others. And it don't have to be a big thing. I mean, everybody can't, be out front all the time. But it may be something very small. It may be, you may have a gift to do what with animals, or you may have a gift to share your knowledge in photography. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to to share it with others. And of course, like always, the show must come to an end for today. It's been my pleasure to broadcast Light Vision Art. We try to help as many people as we can, either through the classroom. Of course, you can be a part of my classroom. That's easy to do. Just jump in. We do a 16-week class that starts. We got a class starting in a couple of weeks, but you can be a part of that class. Light Vision Art, the Educated Eye. Of course, you can also be in something that we call Lion Chasers Radio with Lonnie Poindexter. So find me there during the weekdays on radio, 10 to 12 during the weekdays, urbanfamilytalk.com. Dark room. If you hadn't been in the dark room, you need to find one and get in there. You'll learn a lot when the dark room is in use. And by all means, if you need great lenses, go to weebielenses.com. Jim and Marion Young, they will get you your lenses at a great price at a reasonable rate. See you later, Jeff. Take it easy, big guy. Of course, I want to thank Claudia and Jeff. They are part of my expert panel. I like to call them that. They're learned individuals for sure. And the one thing that makes them who they are is that they like to share with others. I know Claudia, she's like, she'll probably give you a shirt off her back. And she's just that kind of person. And the world could use a lot more people like that. And Jeff, of course, he's very dedicated to the craft. He loves art, the art of photography. And he can tell you probably all the latest and greatest and newest what's happening with the new sensors. But Jeff is another person that he will share information with just about anyone. And you don't run across those people too often. So I want to thank them for being a part of the show. And to you that's listening or will listen, I want to tell you, God bless you. God bless America. And don't expect to be a gift, or don't expect a gift, but be a gift to the world. So, peace.